Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, His Worshipful the Mayor of Worthing, and very welcome guests. Flonking, flunking and flags of flavour. It can only be about one thing, can't it? Sussex. Now the county of Sussex is 1300 years old, but Sussex Day is a mere babe in comparison. It was actually born, the idea, in 2006 by a Worthing man called Ian Steedman. And it falls on St Nicholas Day, which is today, the 16th of June every year. And on this day, the Sussex flag's flown all over Sussex. And in 2011, it has actually flown at Whitehall. And my ambition is to get it above there every year again. So St Nicholas is an interesting chap. He's the patron saint of Sussex, and a miracle for what he is known. It's my kind of miracle, actually. He was working really hard one day, and he was at Mass celebrating with his chalice of holy wine, and he dropped it, but none of the wine fell out. It was a major miracle. Actually, on the leaflets I've given you, there's a picture of a carving, which has actually got the chalice on that he was very famous for. But also there's some figs on there, which represents his time in Worthing when he was waiting for the bishopric. He used to cultivate fig trees in Worthing. So another Worthing man related to Sussex, getting us on the map. So back to Sussex Day, I put a question onto Facebook to ask how many people knew about Sussex Day and who would be celebrating it and how they would celebrate it if money was no object. And unfortunately, only one person replied, which is our very own Paul Baker. And he said he would celebrate it by playing stallball, by doing some Dwile Flunking, or Flonking as it's sometimes known, and toads. He's already talking about toads in a talk. For tonight I'm going to talk about Dwile Flunking. And also, he told me about the Treacle mines in Sussex and Sompting, so I'll go into that a bit. So, Dwile Flunking is actually a drinking game, and it takes place in the country pubs outside, because it's really, really smelly. And actually, every single town and county seems to claim Dwile Flunking as its own origination, and Suffolk are one of the big ones. And Norfolk has actually banned Dwile Flunking because of all the speed drinking it promotes. So what happens is basically you've got two teams in a pub garden somewhere, and one team goes round in a circle and is dancing round, and dancing around one member from the other team who's not dancing. And the person in the middle is called the flonker, and in some towns it's called the flanker. So what happens is he has a large pole, and on the end of the pole is a dwile, which is a cloth. And what he has to do on the floor is a gazinda, and it's got loads of real ale beer in it. So he has to get his dwile, soak it in there, put it on the pole, and while the people are dancing round him, he has to try and hit them in the face. And there's, I think, 3 points for getting them in the head, 2 for the body and 1 for the leg. And if he misses, it's known as a swadge. So the flonker becomes a swadger. And what happens with the swadger, what he has to do, is he has to get the gazinda and drink as much beer as he can before the dwile's passed round everyone. So the game continues basically until everyone's drunk and they can't remember the scores, they can't remember what to do with the game. So you can see why Norfolk have actually banned it. It seems to have a bit of a food and an alcohol flavour, Sussex Day. So I'm going to go on to Treacle mines next. Treacle mines of Sussex. And again, every town claims its own story for treacle mines. And it dates back to the Romans, actually, and the olden days, when London was actually doing lots of trading with Rome. That's before the EU as well, of course. We didn't need them. Sorry, Barry, it's just for you, that political bit there. Anyway, so the first story, which is the Treacle mine of Sompting, is as I say, there's a guy called Alfred Longley who is a comic in Worthing. He's very well known, and he came up with a character called Jimmy Smuggles, who invented this mine. And he had to. The mine was very tall, and every night he was told he had to lower the mine because otherwise the moon going over would get caught on the top of the mine. So that was this myth going on for a very long time. And there's another story as well, which I almost prefer. In Polgate, there's a sweet factory there, near there, and these big barrels of treacle used to be delivered to the factory, and they used to go in, and when they were used up, they would be put in the cellar outside, and then the local kids used to come to the barrels and scrape around the side and lick the treacle, and the empty treacle mines were known as the treacle mines. And that just conjures up loads of memories of my mum making cake bits, and I'd be going around the edge of the cake tin trying to steal it when she wasn't looking. And I'd like to think that's one pastime that health and safety can't ruin, actually, or technology. So I've really come to the end of it now, but I'd just like to say, obviously the traditional, very old stories are wonderful, but we mustn't forget the modern stories. And there's one, it's not too old. In 1971, Banoffee Pie was invented in East Sussex, and now it's all around the world, worldwide. Never say that word. I'm not going to be practicing it. So we just want to make all the things in Sussex, celebrate them, all the activities. That includes Toastmasters. The Mayor and me have been out meeting and greeting and meeting some of the clubs. It's so much going on in Sussex that we should be celebrating. So, and as I said earlier on in my talk, in 2011 we put Sussex flags on top of Whitehall. It should be there every year. We need to make it bigger and better. So I am just going to end now on a song, a verse from a song, and a Dwile Flunking song. So now the game it do end and down go the sun. No, one team has lost and the other has won. Nobody knows the scores on the board because they're flat on their back and they're drunk as a lord. Mr. Toastmaster, my mother Toastmaster.
Wonderful.